We all know what it's like to be on a website that has a really bad mobile menu that's just super frustrating to interact with. We're going to do the opposite inside of this video, creating a slide out mobile menu inside of Elementor that not only has a really cool design, but is created to be easy to use. Here's the menu we're going to build. We're going to have it first sliding out for desktop, and then inside mobile, we will have this really good looking mobile menu. It is going to be fully responsive, and I'll show you step by step how to build this and also follow best design practices. So that way we're making it really easy for the end user to use. The first step and the most often overlooked step in the design process is finding design inspiration. I like this website right here. I thought that their mobile menu was super dope, and you can see this is where I got my inspiration from. Now I did design it out inside of Figma as well, so that way I could play around with it and sort of make it my own using this as my guide. To get started inside of Elementor, we got to make sure the off canvas widget is ready. So to do this, you want to go over to your settings, to your features, and then make sure you got your menu turned on, and then also make sure you have your nested elements on. From here, make sure in your element manager that you have your off canvas widget toggled on. From here, we need to create a header template inside of our theme builder in our templates. I've already created one. Now we're not going to go through that whole process because I got a lot of videos on it. So if you are new to Elementor, I'll leave a link to some of those videos inside of the description. For now though, we're just going to keep it simple. I got a header built already and it just has a logo and a menu. That's it. Now, instead of styling this and building it out inside of the header template, I'm going to do it on a page. This way I have that visual to help me with my design inside of the slide out menu. From up here, I'm just going to go to edit the header. And now I'm editing the header, but on the page that I want to use visually. Now let's go ahead and set up our off canvas. To do this, we got to add two widgets. First one, let's add the off canvas. We'll drop this in. Let's turn off the editing mode so we can see what we're working with. And right here, this little box, this is the off canvas, and that's fine. That is how it is supposed to look. Don't worry, in the front end, we will not see that. Next up, let's go over back to our elements and we're going to add in an image. Let's go ahead and choose an image. And I have mine. It's kind of hard to see because it's white, but it is the menu icon. And you can see I got it here. Let me go and style it up. I'm going to change this to pixels and let's put in 85, see how that looks. Maybe I'll take it up to 90. I want to match the size of my menu. Maybe I even take it up a little bit more. I'll take it to 100. I want to make sure it's easy to see, but at the same time, not too big. Now, this is where we got to start to fix things inside of our structure. If we don't fix it, we're going to get really confused and things get messy. We got our header here. I'm going to call this my header so we could identify that outer section. Next up, this container. This is going to be wrapping my WordPress menu. That's totally fine, but I want my other elements inside of that container. There we go. I want that in here. And this is just going to be my left div just to be easy. And now we got the off canvas. Now take a look at our off canvas. We have the outer off canvas, and this is what we're going to first style up, but there aren't too many options. So we only got a few things to do here. Next, we have the container inside of the off canvas. And this is how we're going to style inside of the off canvas. First, let's take a look at what we got now. We got our menu. This is looking pretty good. I would put some space in here, and this is the reason why we have this div. Now from here, I could go ahead and increase my gaps. I'm going to put in rem, and I'll just put in 2.5. The reason why we have to have this as an image is this is what controls how we open and close the off canvas. So the next thing you want to do inside of your image, from here, we're going to go to our link, custom URL, click on this dynamic tag, scroll down until you find the off canvas, select it. From this off canvas, now we're going to choose the widget, and we could change the name of this if you're using multiple off canvases. I'll show you how to do that in a moment, but then we select the action. So we need to have the open. Now, when we click on it, you see it opens. And coming up, we're going to also have to do the same thing for a close by adding an image that closes the off canvas. But we'll get there in a moment. Next up, let's go to our off canvas. Let's go ahead and put it in editing mode. Now let's get to work on this. Here's where you could change the name. I'm going to call this Lightbox Off Canvas. And I want it to slide coming in from the right. And you got to think about, what are people already conditioned with? The easier and simpler things are, the better the UI and UX is going to be. Next up, I am going to change the width. I'll take this out to 500 to get started. You know what? I'll maybe even take it out to 600 since we're going to build a desktop sliding menu first. For the height, we will come back to this. We're going to leave it on default, but you can see inside of my design, I have this spacing around the menu, giving it a sort of a detached look and feel. Now to do this, I got a little CSS snippet. We'll do it at the end as well as the blurred background. Now let's quickly go through the rest of these settings. Now we'll leave the height. We're going to go to our settings. I don't like to mess with any of these. I want to make it easy as possible for people to close. The HTML tag div is okay. For the animation, this is where I want to set something very subtle. I just want to have a slide in right and slide out right. You know, it makes the most sense since it is coming from the right. And then the animation duration, it's by default really slow at 1.5 seconds. Instead, I'm going to take it to milliseconds and I am going to put 200. Let's go through the rest, make sure we have everything set up. This is all looking good. We're going to go over to our style. Now let's go ahead and add a background. I'm going to add a gradient. I'm going to put in this dark color and then I'm going to put in this other dark color here and I'm going to change the angle. Now the overlay, by default, it is super dark. I personally do not like this. In fact, I feel like this is a bit of an old style. If anything, I probably would put one of my brand colors, my light ones, and then take it all the way down in opacity. Let's see, I'll take it down to 10% opacity, just so that way it lightens up a bit. Now I feel like we have everything set up. We're going to leave everything as it is. Let's go ahead and move on and start to add in our elements. Let's make sure we're clicking on this and we're going to use a drag and drop. And the first thing I'm going to add is an image. And in this image, I am going to choose the close button that I created. And I did the same exact thing inside of Figma. I just created a close, an X, I put a border around it, I flattened it, and then I exported it as an SVG. From here, we're going to do the same exact thing, but make it close like what we did for the open menu. We're going to go to our link to custom URL. We're going to go to dynamic tags, scroll down until you find off canvas, click on the off canvas, select the widget, and now you can see the name change. And then from here, select on close off canvas. Now this is going to close. This is going to open. Let me just click on the image here inside of the structure. You got to use that structure panel. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, but here's the thing. For good usability and good UI, you want this to be easy to see and easy to use. Now from here, I'm going to go to advanced because I want it to align over to the right. We're going to add in our padding and fix all that. But first, I want to add in all of our elements. Next up, I am going to add in our menu right here. I got a very simple menu. From here, go to elements, and I'm going to use a WordPress menu for this. Drop it in there, and let's go ahead and style this up. And this right here is where you could either make your menu super frustrating to use with bad user experience, or you can make it really easy to use. And I'll show you how to do that. First, let's go ahead and remove that underline. We are going to remove the breakpoint because this is going to stay as it is on desktop and mobile. Then from here, we're going to align this vertically. Now let's go over to style and let's remove this default padding. You see this padding on the left and between the items. We always want to remove that anytime you're using this menu widget. By doing it, we're just going to take the horizontal and vertical padding down to 0, and we only want to work with the space in between. I am going to change this to RAM, and then I want about 20 to 24 pixels. You want space. Just remember how difficult it is to press menus on some mobile menus when they're too close and too small. I'm going to start off with 1.25 RAM, which is 24 pixels. And then for the sizing, I'm going to make it big. I'm going to choose a big size, especially if we got the desktop sliding out, but even for mobile, a bigger size is good. You don't have to have it small. Let's go ahead and choose our color. I got my white color. I'm going to choose my hover and my active, which is going to be the brand color. So there we go. That is looking good right there. That looks pretty dope. Next up, let's see what we have. We got a button, and then we have our socials. Let's go to our elements, drop in a button. And I'm going to change this up a little bit. I'm going to deviate from my design. I'm going to say reach out to us. And from here, I also want it to be big and stand out and easy to use. So I'm going to go to my typography. I might make a text one size smaller, but that is because we are going to make this really stand out. I'm going to give it the border radius and then fix up the padding. Let's go to the text color. I'm going to give it the black color, and then the background, going to give it the highlight. Let's add a hover. Next up, let's add in our socials. This, we are going to use the icon list. Drop that in there. Let's go ahead, delete these two. I'm going to delete this text, and then let's upload the SVGs, and I've already created them. From here, we'll put in the links. Let's go ahead and just style the one up. Let's go ahead and make this inline. From here, we're going to do space in between. I'm going to do 20 pixels to start off with, which is 1.15 rem. Align it to the left, and let's fix the icon size. I want this to be kind of big for desktop. We'll make it smaller and mobile. Let's go back now that it looks good. We'll duplicate it a couple times. You know, from here, you would change your icon. And now next up, this is where things are going to get interesting, because I decided I wanted to make this into a dropdown simply to show how we would use dropdowns, because sometimes your menu might have dropdowns in it. I always want to keep my mobile menus as simple as possible, and usually only on a website with a high volume of pages, like a very large website, would I add drop downs inside of the mobile. It's the reason why we have footers for the non-essential pages when somebody just needs to dig in and learn a little bit more. But for those primary pages, the pages that you want coming up in your Google searches, that is what I'm going to focus in on my big menu. Every project is going to be different, but in case if you do want a toggle, a drop-down menu, let me show you how. To create a drop-down, we are going to add a nested accordion. So search toggle, and we're going to use the accordion. And since we already turned on the nested option in the beginning of this video, there is now this nested element. Let's go ahead and drop in a couple elements. What we need to do is drop in these menus. So we're not going to drop in a menu for this. This is where I am going to use another icon list. From here, I'm going to drop it in. So it's dark and hard to see, but it's okay. We'll start from the top up. Now, up here, back in our accordion, let's go and change the name. This is going to be called our more links. That's what we want shown. Now we can't see it because I think there's a dark background. So let's go back and style this up. Over in our header, we'll go to typography, and I am going to make this a small header. Let me change it to the white color. There we go. Now we could see what we are working with. And this looks pretty good, but we got to fix the actual accordion. Let's go back over to our content. Let's select on the icon position right. I am going to leave it expanded because that's the way my design looks. And then I'm going to change this again to something a little bit more quick. Something weird just happened. I feel like it might be a bug. I know it did this when I was trying it out and working with it. So let's see. I'll just set up all these and that'll fix that bug. Okay, cool. Now let's go and style these up over here. I'm going to do the same as I did with the social icons. We're going to just style one up and then we will duplicate it. And now I am going to style this up, align it to the left. Let's give it a space in between. I'm going to go to rem. I'm going to put something like 12 pixels. I feel that's going to be good. We're going to tighten things up here. There's no icon, but let's style up the text. Back here, I already got my text style created. I'll go with a larger style and go with the colors. Again, I don't want it small. We don't want to do little tiny text, especially when it's the desktop slide out, but also we don't want it all that small on the mobile either. Now let's go back over here to our list. And we are going to duplicate it a couple times. Okay, those are fixed. And then also make sure to put your links inside each of these as well. Let's go and duplicate this. And I'm going to duplicate the icon list. Now those are done. I'm going to go over back to the item and we're going to use our flex controls. Let's go ahead and put that to the left, and let's fix our gaps right here as well. I want more space in between these. So I'm going to take this to rem, and I'm going to change this to 2.5 rem. We are looking good, but there's still some weird stuff going on, default spacing and borders. So let's go in there and remove them all. Start from the top and work your way down. So I'm going to go in wherever there's padding and just put 0. I'm going to go wherever there's borders and just put none. And let's open this up, make sure we're not missing anything. Let me see here. Okay, we could go ahead and put 0. And also border type none. There we go. Now we got rid of everything. We're going to come back to each of these and create spacing. I want to cover spacing all inside of one section. But let's finish this up. Now there's only one thing left, and that is going to be the logo. Now here, if we were to look at, say, our example website, you can see that they put also their trademark, and this is a really good, strong position to put it in. I like what they did here. I already have my logo created, so I'm just going to go up and drop in an image. Let's see down here at the bottom. Let's go find that, style it up, make it really quick, really simple, really easy. Okay, width, we're going to change this to pixel. I'm going to put this at 120. Let's align it to the left. And now we have all of our elements here. It is time now though to fix it up so that way we have the spacing that we see. And this is where a lot of the design best practices start to come into play. We already covered some. The main ones were going to be our links, the sizing, not going too small. But now let's fix it all up. First off, here inside of our off canvas, we want to start from the outside and work our way in. We already did everything we can in the off canvas, but in the container, we have a lot of room to work with. We need padding around everything, and this is where we're going to do it. Go over to advanced, to our padding. Let's change this to rem, and I am going to put, let me see, I'm going to put 24 pixels to start off with. I feel that's a good amount. That's going to be 1.25 rem. Okay, now we have some spacing. This is good. Let's go ahead now and make this full height. I'm going to go back over to the layout inside the same container, and this is where we're going to put the VH, and I'm going to make this 100 VH, so that way it expands all the way through. But now we don't have our logo drop into the bottom like we want. We have to drop in inner containers. Now, it is totally up to you. I try to limit the amount of inner containers I use to keep the DOM and divs more clean, but sometimes the design does need them. And since everything I've used so far has been really clean, I feel like I could get away with 2 extra divs. So let's go ahead and drop them in. I am going to drop in a container here, and then I'll duplicate that. And now I'm going to drop my logo in on the bottom, and the rest of these are all going to be in the top. And I've added all of the elements into the top container. Now I'm going to relabel this because it'll start to get confusing if we aren't keeping track of this. I'm going to call this my top and then my bottom container. Now the reason why we needed these, we can now go to the container wrapping them, go to our flex controls, and we could put in space in between, and it's going to push this container, your top container, to the top, bottom container to the bottom. Now let's go ahead and create some spacing. First off, I'm going to go in this top container, and I want to create more gaps because right now the default 24 pixel or 1.25 rem gaps isn't enough. I want to create probably double that, so I'm going to put 2.5 rem gaps, which is about 40 pixels. And this already is a really good start. I feel like what we have with our menu here is really easy to use and see. If anything, we could always make it even bigger or add more spacing. I would go in that direction instead of smaller and tighter. We also got a good call to action that stands out. But down here, now I want to create more spacing inside of this area. I'm going to start here with our icons. So I'm going to change this to rem. Let's unlink this, and I'm going to put 4 rem. I'm going to create a lot more space. Next, I want to fix up this more links because it does have a spacing issue going on. I'm going to go back to our accordion, and then I am going to go to the padding. Let me unlink this and change this to rem, and then I'll put 1.25 rem. And that looks really good already. Let's go ahead and publish this and see how it looks in the front end. And now let's see how it looks, and check that out. It might be a little bit too fast. I might want to slow it down to be a little bit more smooth, but already this looks like a really clean, easy to use menu. Now the next thing we want to do is turn this mobile, go to tablet. And really there's not much to change except for one thing that's very, very important. Over here in the off canvas with the width, we do want to change that because right now, if somebody was on a screen that was 500 pixels, it's going to break something. So to be safe, turn this to a VW, and then let's make this one anywhere from like 80 to 100. That way, no matter what screen size that they are on, it is going to be safe. And in fact, I'm going to find a good midway point, putting it at 90. But now here is the big one, mobile. And before we go any further, I have to tell you the most important thing you're going to be doing while styling for mobile is using your phone. Make sure you have your phone with you. This stage takes a lot of attention to detail, and you're only going to find that detail in your phone because what we see on the screen is only one story, but what we really see on the phone, now that is what the end user is going to see, and often there are going to be differences. I already have my text, the font styles that I built, set up for desktop and mobile. They're already responsive, and I feel at this size on mobile is good. I really don't need to make them much smaller. Now, this button, yeah, we got to fix that. Let's just go over and make it a smaller size. So I do have one size smaller. There we go. It is good to go, looking good. Now, the links over here, let's see. Sometimes people do got bigger phones, and that's pretty good. This is what we want. You see how it breaks here? That is looking exactly as we want it to look. But when it does break, we have that space. Let's fix our gaps inside of our row. We want to make sure it has the same spacing. First off, let me see what spacing I even have. Okay, it's a 0.875 rem. So we're going to add that same spacing in between. So that way it looks like one menu. Let's go back over to the container wrapping them inside of the row 875. And now we can see it looks like just one menu. And I want to create some space as well between my logos. So from here, I am going to use the margin. I want to push. This is one of those situations where I'm going to be pushing. So I'm going to go over, change this to rem, and I'm just going to do something like 4. Let's just put it at 4 rem, give a healthy amount of spacing. Now, let's take a look at this in the front end. And here we go. Okay, we do got the WordPress bar covering it. It's not going to look that way on the live website. If we go up and we look, this is looking pretty good. This is around the size of most cell phones nowadays. So we're looking pretty good right now. I probably will want to add more spacing between these menu items. Also, I think there's too much text in this button, and I could probably make these a little bit smaller on mobile. So what we would do, you would take time going through all of this. So I'm going to fix this. I'm just going to put reach out, and then in mobile, I'll go and change the size. Maybe we'll put this at 28, just a little bit smaller. And then let's open this up. I want to make sure I got more space in between these. That's going to be the gap in the column. So I'm going to unlink this. I'll put 1.5 rem. That's at least enough right there to show a distinction. The next thing though, if we want to get this effect with this separation, let me show you quickly how to do this. First off, let's go back to our desktop. From here, we are going to go to our off canvas, and in our height, we are going to put this at custom, leave it at VH, and let's put it at 96. You can see now we have that space on the bottom, but we need to just center it. Go to vertical position. Now it's going to be centered. Okay, this is falling off because in the off canvas, we have it at 96 VH. The container needs to be the exact same VH. Remember, we put it at 100. So let's take that down to 96. Now it is perfect. We have that perfect sizing going on the top and bottom. Next up, let's go ahead and inside of the off canvas under style with the border radius, this is where we're going to give it the radius. I'll put 24 pixels. Now that is about as far as we could go inside of the editor. We need to write CSS in order to give it spacing on the side and the blurred background. But before we do that, let's make sure we're at the off canvas. Go to the background. Now we set up our colors inside of the gradient, but for here, we got to give it some opacity. Switch this to RGBA so we can see how much opacity we're giving. And I'm going to take this top one down to 0.2 0.25. This is the percentage right here. And then on the bottom one, I am going to do the same, but not go as opaque. Instead, I'll take it to about 75%. We need to have some opacity in order to get that blurred effect. Go up to our header. This is going to be the top level container, whichever one is wrapped up around everything. Go here to advanced, and we're going to add this class. This class is slide header. Now, things already happened here. You can see it already got some spacing on the side, and it already got that background blur. Let me show you how this happened and why. So let's go back over here, and underneath customize, I did add a CSS snippet. Now I'll go ahead and leave a link to the snippet inside of the descriptions in case you want to create the same effect. Basically what this snippet does is we created that margin on the right, that spacing that we got here to detach it, and the backdrop filter. So if you need more spacing, you want it spaced out more, just increase it. Like I'll take this to 5, and you can see it pushes it all the way over. Or for the blur, if you want more blur, then just increase the pixels. Let's say I want less, I'll take it to 2 pixels. Now it's a lot less. Just make sure that this one and your WebKit are the same. This is going to be for Safari. This bit of CSS right here, this is going to be for your mobile. Basically what this is doing is fixing the height because it was only minimum height on the Elementor editor. We had to fix that. And then the margin. This is the gaps going around everything. So we still need to fix a few things in the Elementor editor. We can see now we have inconsistent padding. So let's fix that. Let's take this to mobile. Let's go ahead and open it up and let's fix this. This is going to be from the top down. So I now need to fix up this width. From here, we are going to change this to actually percentage, and let's just put 100%. Now we can see we have equal spacing on the left and right. And then I would go to my off canvas and adjust this background. We definitely want to make it easier to see. So, I would take this and make it a little bit more dark. I feel that this is going to be easy to use, but again, it's going to depend on what I see on my phone. And then from here, all you would do is go through on your phone, continue testing and looking for the little tiny details, fixing things like what we did on the background, making sure that it's easy to see, the contrast is there, that the text is easy to click on. You're going to want to spend time in this next stage, making sure you got all the little details, making sure the spacing is all consistent. And that's the reason why mobile, it takes some time, but by using your phone and getting all those little touches, this is what's going to give the best user experience for anybody using your website. Next up, I got something cool planned for Mega Menu. So if you want to stay up to date with all this and definitely do that good YouTube stuff, you know the deal, like and subscribe. Really do appreciate the support. And if you want to learn how to design and build better Elementor sites, make sure to check out Design with Elementor 2.0. I'm currently working on bonus lessons, about to roll those out. They're all around the new V4 editor. There's links to all of that inside of the description of this video. And if you do have any questions, definitely drop them inside of the comments. Well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.